Good evening and welcome to a Thursday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. It's normally orange and blue bloods, but Ben Troop took off and got buried. How about that? We'll get him back next week. Congratulations to Mr. and Miss Ben Troop. Tonight on the program, we got the head ball coach. Steve Spurrier is about to join us. I had a chance to catch up with them today and chat about what's going on in the world of Gator sports and Gator football. We're going to have that video for you in just a moment. And interesting to see where he says we are now as to where we need to go. And also, by the way, how did he get there? Yeah, when he did it. Amazing story. You look back on it, you get more amazed all the time. So that's what's happening tonight on the program. Tell your friends and neighbors, Coach Spurrier is going to be joining us in about 5 minutes for his take on things as the state of the Gator situation. And then we'll be having Ben Troop is not on tonight, but our good buddy Loren Meadows was out of practice today and got a good look at the edge rushers. Yeah, the edge rushers, what's going on there. So he'll be joining us. And then Loren Meadows will be back. He'll be keeping us up to speed as to what's happening at practice. Hope you enjoy the program. Stay tuned and tell your friends and neighbors the Buddy Martin Show is on the air.
Buddy Martin, call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome. Things are starting to ramp up a little bit in the world of Gator football. You've been watching the Olympics quite a day today. We'll talk about that a little bit, not too much. Simone Biles, what an amazing story she is. And we had some Florida people that did pretty well today, including Katie Ledecky. Congratulations to Coach Ledecky. So we'll talk about that a little bit, but mostly it's about what's going on in Gainesville and Gator football. Hope you'll weigh in tonight and give us your thoughts. We don't know a lot. We're trying to learn as we go. And we had an opportunity to speak today with Coach Spurrier. He hadn't been out there much either, but we're all sort of gathering in information and trying to store it away for what's going to be a long next 20-something days till the first game, opening game. Lots to talk about Miami. Don't know if you saw Matt Baker today on Feinbaum's show, talking about the approach to things and how critical this game was. I guess everybody's decided, I'm wrong, that it's going to be an absolute war and that Miami is Alabama. I don't know. I get it. It's going to be a huge game. There's no doubt about it. Two programs struggling in the third year, coaches both having a difficult time. Somebody's going to lose that game. Whoever it is going to be in the hot seat. But, hey, we know what's ahead. What I loved about Billy Napier so far, he's embraced his position. He's not whining about things. He's not complaining because of the schedule he's got. He's just going to put the ball down and play. And everything I see and hear, now granted, I'm not there and seeing every little detail, but what I'm hearing from people on this show, my guests, listening to other programs, reading things, is that there's an uptick around there right now. I asked Coach Spurrier that question. You might be surprised at his answer. But so how are you feeling about it? You know, you folks are pretty good about checking in here and letting me know how you're doing. I want to know, and I'll just say good evening to you folks tonight. Toby Parmenter. Let's see. George has a comment about Coach Spurrier. I don't know that Spurrier said that, George. Good evening to Dan Bond once again out in Dallas. Dan, how about this? Van Der, a surprise. I like it. Well, good. Let's see. Who else we got here? Gators added 6'8", 290-pound JUCO. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. There were quite a few little things that happened in recruiting last couple of days. One of them was a big JUCO guy. So we'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's do this. Let's see now, based on what my tutor tells me, how to do this. I'm going to roll this Spurrier interview. I think you'll find it interesting. We caught up on some things, and here's what he had to say. Here's a guy I haven't talked to in a while. He's had a busy summer, I guess. Lots of golf. Not so much golf anymore, but a lot of traveling. Steve Spurrier, Coach, how are you? Good to talk to you again. I hope your summer's going well.
Well, thank you, buddy. Yeah, my golf game is not near as good as it once was, but no, I still play a little bit. I played pretty lousy the last time. I got a new swing thought I may go work on this afternoon, so I'll let you know how it worked.
There you go. You play at 9 now, not 18 or 36, right?
Occasionally 18, but I'm playing with some guys that usually play 9. Yeah. So as hot as it's been lately, 9 has been plenty, yeah.
I talk to our doctor every now and then. He's one of your golfing partners, so I know he enjoys playing golf with you. Hey, Coach, we haven't talked for a while. So much is going on in the world of college football. It's hard to know where to start. I guess you start with, let's put the ball down and see what we got here. You bring yours, I'll bring mine. We'll see who's got what. But it's so confusing. I don't know how you keep up with it because I can't. Just all the changes, let alone the league expansions, the new 12 playoff teams, the players moving back and forth. I have a hard time knowing who's coaching work anymore.
It is a lot of confusion, but the only one good thing, buddy, is when we kick it off, the other team's got 11 players. Our team's got 11. Some teams may have 50 coaches. Some may only have 40, but it's still 11 against 11. And whoever's guys play the best and scores the most points are usually going to win the game. So I tell people all the time, all this NIL, transfer portals, it's the same issues for everybody. So there's no excuse.
It goes away when they put the ball down.
That's right. Some schools are wealthier than others. I'll admit to that. But some of these wealthy schools have not been winning all that much. Texas A&M, Miami, they've been spending tons of money, but they don't have a lot to show for it. So it's a team sport, and teams with the best attitude and effort and camaraderie and all that kind of stuff are usually the winners. And that's why you got to give Alabama and Georgia credit, because their teams have been like that. They certainly got talent, but they also got teamwork and attitude and those things.
Yeah, I have done a lot of thinking about this last few days, writing a piece about expectations. Expectations can kill you. It's the curse of expectations which ruins college football. And one of the great things, I was talking to Shane about this and somebody else last night about what 1990 was so great. Although you had expectations, the fans hadn't caught up to it yet. And those wonderful years you had when you're winning all those championships, when you never won them before, that's a level of enthusiasm and joy that Gator fans will never know again.
Well, not hardly anybody's ever done that, buddy. For some way or another, we won the SEC 6 of the first 7 years. You know how many SEC championship Kirby Smart's got right now?
1?
2. He's got 2. 2 in 7 years.
Yeah.
And we got 6 in 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, how in the heck did that happen?
Yeah, that didn't happen. You tell me how it happened.
We had the championship game start in 93, so we won 4 in a row of those. And so our fans got to where, if we didn't do that, we didn't have a very good year. And so we lost the championship game to Alabama 2 of the next 5 years. In the other 3 years, we finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the nation, but we did not win the SEC. Yeah. So that was considered not a very good year, going 10-2. What would we give for a 10-2 today? Huh? That would be Billy Napier to get a 10-year extension if he went 10-2. Yeah. I really believe that.
$10 million a year. Yeah, I don't know, Steve. It's just almost like a storybook. It's hard for people to understand it. You and I are old enough to remember back when you came to Florida, there were no expectations because they never won anything. I saw you step on the field for the first time in '63. All what happened to Alabama. I mean, imagine going to Alabama today and beating Bear Bryant. I mean, You never lost there, like the team before you did, and you almost did it a second straight year. And then to come into the situation, if you look at it from the standpoint of the whole eras, starting with Bob Woodruff, a name most people don't know, that you heard of when you came, Ray Graves came in, and you say, Bob Woodruff said 500 a bowl game is good, right? That was what we were living with. You arrived there, and you changed that and that expectation. Certainly was 65 and the Sugar Bowl and 66. We never went to a Sugar Bowl and Orange Bowl back then. And then all that happened. The reason I'm getting you this is all generational about what you think of Florida football. Back then, we were grateful for a 10-2. Yeah. Today, the young people think you ought to win championships every time you tee it up. But you go from Bob Woodruff, where it's 500 in a bowl game, to what you did, what Urban did, phenomenal. That's it. To the 3M era, which was dead, which didn't produce anything. And we are right back, Steve, where we started with Bob Woodruff. We're at 500 bowl game, right?
Well, wasn't that called the golden era? They call it.
No, the golden era was before that. That's
was before that. Okay.
A year and a half. That Bob Woodruff was an improvement from the golden era. At least he won some games.
Yeah, in the 50s, I guess. Yeah, Coach Graves came in 60, and Coach Graves won right at 70%. He was 78-31. So Coach Graves, really, we had some really good teams that missed the championship by one game. My senior year, we missed by one game. Yeah. So, and a bunch of other teams did the same thing. So we had really good
expectations. Excuse me, I want to get in. Did you have any expectations, you personally, of those seasons? I know you wanted it bad your senior year, and Georgia said no way. What were the expectations of you and the team then? We
didn't talk about it as much as we should have. That's my opinion right there. We knew what was on the line, and we were 7-0, and Georgia beat us. They got after us pretty good. And so anyway, our teams in the 90s, we actually talked about it briefly because we thought we had the talent to win the SEC, and that was our goal. And really, we talked about it every year. And I read something the other day that is so true. What we achieve in life is directly proportionate to what we attempt. So we attempted every year I was here to win the SEC, 12 years. We got 7 and came in second 4 or 5 times or whatever. But at least we were attempting to win it every year because we had players to do it, and the coaches and everything else, the fans. So it doesn't mean you're going to, but if you attempt it, you got a fighting chance.
See, it's like that old cliche about basketball. 100% of the shots you don't take, you don't go in. You got to take your shots, and you guys did that. Well, I'm interested in how psychologically you got to where you were in 1990. I was there when you were there. I know what you were building, but in nowhere did I see this coming, this juggernaut that you put on the field.
Right away. Well, it all started, buddy, at Duke University. It started at Duke. We won the ACC in 1989, went 6-1, and won our last 7 games in a row. And so I think back then we were in film, transferred over to video. And so I brought all that down here. And our Florida players, 1990, they're watching Duke offense, Duke defense, and they're seeing the size difference between Duke and what we had here at Florida. And all the guys, they watched those guys play with effort and attitude. And, oh, man. And they said, if those guys can win a championship at Duke, certainly we can. Yeah. And, I mean, we had Huey Richardson, Mark Murray, and all those guys, Culpepper, Kirkpatrick, and then Shane Matthews was SEC Player of the Year 2 years in a row. So the talent was here, and now we just had to have the attitude that we're good enough to do it. Let's go do it. And they wanted it badly, and they went and did it.
Steve, you told me several times if you hadn't beaten Clemson, you wouldn't have got the Florida job.
Correct.
So people know how big that was. Weren't you like 1-2 when you played them or something? And you had no chance. I don't know what you were, an underdog. You must have been at least a touchdown underdog or more than that.
We were about 20, 22-point underdogs, something like that. They were 4-0. We were 1-3, actually, buddy. We'd lost 3 road games to good teams at Tennessee, at South Carolina, and at Virginia. Virginia was a really good team that year also. So we only had one loss. So, you can go in the conference and you can almost always win your conference if you only lose one. So we had that huge upset over Clemson. Clemson came in. They were 4-0. They had won the ACC 3 years in a row. So they knew something about winning. Everybody said back in those days, Clemson looked like an SEC team playing in the ACC. So they're playing Duke and Wake Forest and all of us schools that don't look like SEC teams back then. But we did have that huge upset and had some good breaks that happened in the second half. And after that, we learned a lot about ourselves because we had a change in attitude, a change in our entire defense. We went to basically a goal line defense all over the field, just to try to force some punts. That's what we had to do.
Oh, Gene Ellison defense.
And we found a running back. During that game. A kid named Randy Cuthbert who gained 1,000 yards and only started 6 games at Duke. Wow. He was running for 175, 180 every game the rest of the way. And of course, we had an All-American wide receiver. We actually played 2 quarterbacks. Everybody thinks quarterback, got to have quarterback. Billy Ray played the first 3 wins, and then this kid, Dave Brown, came in and played the next 3 when Billy sprained his shoulder a little bit. Yeah. So team effort, teams win, individuals get honors and awards, but teams are the ones that cause the victories.
That brings us to Billy Napier. Mm-hmm. Someone said the other day, excuse me, ladies. Yo, please. We got people visiting the house here. That brings us to Billy Napier. And someone said the other day, they can't win. They keep hiring these guys from small schools. I said, did you ever hear of Duke? You that mentality, and that never even factored in the decision in anybody's mind. But you proved you could win at Duke, and therefore, after that, you proved something special. How were you able to maintain your optimism during that time and keep your head up and keep straight ahead? What was it? Your whole career as a player and as a coach, you were always optimistic, or at least you knew. Mainly, Buddy. When I got into coaching, I tried to learn how to be a good coach. I tried to learn some things about winners and losers and people that are good in their profession, those kind of things. And so that's what I tried to do. I didn't coach the way I played. Hopefully, I was a lot better coach than a player. And our team attitude and effort and setting goals and expectations, we set them high every year and tried to hit them all. Actually, everybody said, well, you probably hit them all the year you won the national championship. And I said, no, we didn't. That team set a goal of winning every game. So we didn't make it. We lost that one at FSU by 3 points. But anyway, we came back and, got the rematch on them. But we had a lot of good things happen. And in life, I also learned you need some divine intervention, help from above, as Danny Warfel would call it, a lot of thank you, Lord moments. And certainly I had that at Duke in that Clemson game. We had some unbelievable plays that went our way that helped us win the game. And then even at Florida, after we lost at FSU, we had to have 5 games go our way to be national champs, and all 5 of them went our way. As far as, Arizona State losing to Ohio State. Ohio State had to beat Michigan, and then Nebraska had to lose to Texas, or they had been national champions. It was all voting back then. And we got the rematch with FSU because we won the SEC. They had won the ACC, so both of us we had to go to the Sugar Bowl. There was no – they didn't do the playoff type stuff there. So we were blessed from above with all of that happening, and we're certainly thankful. You said many times, I don't know how many times you used the phrase, but I'd say probably 15, 20 maybe. The good Lord smiled on the Gators tonight. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's what you were talking about when you referenced that. So, all right, so Billy Napier, here he is. It feels like, I don't know how to measure these things, Coach, because I don't know about the NIL deals, whatever. It looks like and feels like something's going on with Napier's football team. There's a little bit of a different attitude out there. Players look good. The players are talking like they want to win, can win. Do you feel that? And I know we still have to get it done on the field and looking at the schedule. It's all about the schedule. I get it. but it feels like there's been a little uptick on what I have seen from Florida football. Do you feel that?
Well, I haven't seen them do much yet. Nobody's seen anything, but the attitude is better. The attitude seems to be we've got a lot of good ball players. Eliminate the excuses and let's go play. The Miami game will be very important. I think I read where Miami's a 2-point favorite. Is
2.5-point favorite. I don't get that.
Gee, that doesn't make sense playing in the swamp and so forth. But I think we have a lot of excellent players. I think we got a lot of good coaches. I'm sure the Miami fans feel the same way about their team. So we got to do it on the field. Got to do it on the field and go from there. But I'm not around the team much at all. That's not.
But you're around the people a lot. You talk to them, and you can sense their attitude some, right?
I'm not around that many people. I'm not around their coaching staff. No, that's not my job to hang around them. I may go watch 1 or 2 practices in preseason with Dr. Pete Indelicado, so forth. But no, I think the attitude is better, and I think our players are better. But you know what? Every school in the nation is saying the same thing. So we got to wait till we kick it off and see what happens.
Yeah, Miami coming up that weekend is going to be quite
in fact, I've never heard a coach in preseason say, "I don't think we're as good as we were last year." You ever heard one say that?
You know, I just saw a film clip of you from 2016 in South Carolina when you came out and told the media, "We're lousy. We couldn't throw a pass. We gave them the ball," and you're fooling them all. And you said, before him. That was funny. Yeah. Well, Steve, it's good to see you back. You're looking healthy and good. And I'm going to embrace the schedule and these people. I think Billy's done that. You got the schedule. People say, "Oh, it's the most difficult schedule." It's opportunity, Coach. Opportunity, right?
Yeah. And, like Vince Lombardi said, winning is a habit. Unfortunately, so is losing. So if we can get off to a good habit of winning, maybe winning some close ones here early, it can carry you on through.
Yeah. By the way, congratulations on the 3rd anniversary of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Whoever thought this thing would be so successful? I know you're doing a great business, Freddie Weeby. Shout out to Freddie and what you guys are doing. It's a terrific place to go. Good food, and you have all your. I understand you got 2 more trophies in there now. Shane Matthews MVP SEC trophies are in there now.
Yeah, I think Shane would put his in there.
And,
so forth. Yeah, we got a lot of some of our players and so forth. And we got a little section of South Carolina stuff also. Yeah. So, but yeah, we got a good team down there, buddy. As far as the managers, our chef Charlie is the best. I mean, everybody comes in there, brags about how good food is. The food is really good. Service is excellent. Our servers get paid a lot, so they don't switch around and hunt for other jobs. So anyway, teamwork down there is vital also.
Yeah, the 3rd anniversary party, I understand, is sold out. $66 a head, which is a significant number for you, 66. And it just speaks well of how, by the way, still the best ribeye I've had yet is the Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Okay. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Coach, thank you so much. Be well. Good talking to you.
All right. Talk to you again next time.
Thank you. All right. Thanks to Coach Spurrier there. Appreciate that. It's always good to talk to Coach, especially at the end of the season. Thanks for all your comments out there, folks. We appreciate that. He always keeps perspective on it. He didn't go over the top. And I noticed all your comments. God bless SOS, et cetera. Thanks, Coach Spurrier, et cetera. Wanting to go back. Well, we're never going to be able to go back to those days. That's the reality. That will never happen again. But those of us who experienced it, I've got a piece coming out this weekend about how you view Florida football depends upon the era you grew up in. Like I was a boomer or silent generation. The Gen Xers, they have their view. I got a little list of those variety of generations. And, the ones that came along and as I said many times, in 1990, think that's how it was supposed to be, the old cliche, woke up on third base and thought they had a triple. But that's what they think. But now we're back to the reality. The reality now is, oddly enough, it goes back to Bob Woodruff when football at 500 was what we had and hope to get to a bowl game. That's what we have now. But I do feel it's trending upward. I don't know how fast it's going to get there. I think Billy Napier will be safe this year. He'd have to fail miserably not to be. So let's see how it plays out. But it's going to be a fun year, and we're going to brace and talk about it. I want to brace this right now. Coming up just a second, Franz Beard standing by. I want to tell you folks about our great sponsors. You all know what Meldon Law does around this community. They're great Gators, and they put their money where their mouth is. They sponsor a lot of events, a lot of things, and Jeffrey Meldon is the ultimate Gator. He's back, I think, from Europe now. We're going to get him on the show. And they want you to know that they want you to enjoy the Gator experience. They also want you to know that they're there for you if you need their services. As I say many times, they have 4 locations now, a new one in Williston, to serve you right here in our community. And that's Gainesville, Lake City, Ocala, and Williston. And if you have a question, that's okay. If you have another case that you'd like to take to them, or one that you have another attorney is handling and you're not happy with it, get a second opinion. Or if you just need help legally, they're the people to call. Meldon Law, they won't back down. This guy won't back down either, and he's back again he's the intrepid one. He's on the road. He's doing it all. He comes to you from all over the globe. Tonight is, I believe, in Wilmington, North Carolina. Am I right, Franz?
That's right. That's right.
Hey, you look good. You're tired, though, I bet. Long drive.
Very tired, and had a Buc-ee's experience today in Florida.
How was that, Buc-ee's? I got to go see that thing.
Well, let me put it this way. Imagine 10 Wawas put together and put them on steroids, and you're getting close.
Wow, because Wawa's quite good, yeah.
140 gas pumps.
You counted them?
I didn't have to count them. That's what they say is 140, and you can prove it to me that there weren't 140 there. And you go inside, and it's like trying to leave the Florida football game after the game and trying to get out of Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It is that crowded, and the people at the desk were saying, checkout was saying, "Oh, we're not very crowded today." And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? So anyway, the largest Wawa in the world is going to be built between Ocala and
that's the largest Buc-ee's in the world.
I mean, the largest Buc-ee's in the world is going to be built between Ocala and Gainesville at 326.
I don't know how I feel about that. It makes it a little busier for us driving up and down the highway. But hey, well, we worry about running out of gas anyway, huh?
Let me put it this way. The typical Buc-ee's will employ 600 people. So 600 people will have jobs.
Yeah.
They start people paying at $22, $23 an hour.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you and I get a job out there.
It pays more than we make.
So better than writing reports, that's for sure.
It was a fun experience going in there. They have a barbecue sandwich that I promise you, you'd be hard pressed to find one better. And I understand the pulled pork isn't even nearly as good as the sliced brisket.
Well, Franz, if anybody's an expert on gas station food, you are. You know all that stuff.
Buddy, let's put it this way: I have a nose for barbecue, as you know, and this is good stuff. This is really good. This is really, really good stuff. But and the amazing thing about it, you were just talking with Coach Spurrier about how nice the people are at Spurrier's. Yeah. How you always get waited on by really nice people who really go out of their way to take care of you. I've never been in a convenience store where every person you meet, even the people cleaning the floors, are just as nice and helpful as they can be. So anyway, it's really was a good experience getting here. Anyway, now I'm in Wilmington, going to be heading back to Gainesville for the weekend. And They're practicing football, as I can tell, at the University of Florida, and I think there's reason to be optimistic about this team. Yeah, I do. You
had a piece today on Gator Bait, and we're going to miss you for a couple of days while you take care of family business. But your pieces, as always, the Jeepers Creepers. And everybody now is talking about the creeper, and you've been talking about for quite some time. I have great respect for it. As a matter of fact, I made a executive decision on Gator Bait. Will now spell creeper with a capital C. So that's our respect for the creeper.
Well,
I think I meant to ask Coach Spurrier, and I forgot to ask him. I talked to Loren about this. Meadows, he'll be back on later tonight. It sounds a little bit like the cousin of the zone blitz we first saw against Nebraska in the Fiesta Bowl, which the first time we ever had big linemen dropping back in coverage, and the blitz is coming from various places. I don't understand it enough, other than what you wrote and what Loren tells me, to say that they obviously are firing guys from different places and very strategically. But your description of it was. See if I can find it here. I thought you had a good description of it. By the way, if you haven't read it, you should. He's the godfather of the creeper defense, variations of which have helped transform defensive philosophy all the way up to the NFL, all the way down to high school level. No matter how you scheme an opponent, however, Ron Roberts knows, the defense begins and ends with one basic concept. How do you affect the opposing quarterback? Well, yeah, I think that's pretty smart. Others like to do it too, but he's found a way to do it like others haven't. How has he done that?
Well, the most important thing he's been able to do is he's been able to very cleverly disguise where the blitz is coming from. It's very rare that he's going to blitz the same guy twice. The pressure is always going to come from his front four. As he pointed out, the front four will always be doing the same thing. It's that extra guy that gives you one more than they can block. Where is he coming from, and how is he getting there? I go back to the 2006 Ohio State game, and we didn't have to blitz. I think we ran one blitz the whole ball game, and it was a run blitz. Everything else was just a straight four-man rush, and Ohio State couldn't handle it. That's the ideal, but these days and times with offensive linemen the size that they are, and the ability to slow down your front four, you're going to have to bring an extra guy. Almost, if you're going to get to the quarterback and affect him, you're going to have to bring an extra guy. The question is, where does he come from? Can you make this quarterback? Sam Darnold called facing the creeper. He said, after getting dazed and confused, he said, I was seeing ghosts. In other words, he's seeing a blitz coming from somebody who doesn't blitz.
That's become a popular term, ghost, today on defense.
Yeah. And that's the key. That's the key to the whole thing. When you can make that quarterback believe that something's coming from someplace that it isn't, then you've won half the battle. You're making him all of a sudden now he may be throwing off his back foot, and therefore the ball sails on him. He may be throwing the ball into the dirt. He may make a bad read.
Right.
These things are every bit as important. We put so much stock in sacks, okay? And sacks are important. All you got to do is look at what Baylor did against Ole Miss in the Sugar Bowl in 2021. They sacked the quarterback 10 times. Okay, that's not bad. If you can get the quarterback 10 times, you've done a tremendous job. But it's not always about sacking the quarterback. You can be every bit as effective if you make the quarterback make the wrong read and, for example, throw an interception, or maybe make the wrong read and he fumbles the ball, or all of a sudden it's 4th and 2, he makes the wrong read and you've got the ball on the flip side of the field. All these things add up, and that's what the whole thing is all about. Yeah. Make the quarterback engaged and confused.
Right. I hear you. And I think we're focusing a lot on the defense because that's the area that needs the most improvement. And you and I both agree that it some kind of improvement there on pressure or sacks, what on tackling, would be a huge difference. Even of last year's team, if they'd have made those plays, it's called making a play. You put it, and they even say you got to put your guy in position to make the play. Then he has to have the fundamentals to make the play. The way they're working on tackling, I like that. I think they're going about it in a manner. I think we'll see a marked improvement on defense. Now, marked improvement, Franz, could be 2 games, and on the defense, and get off the field once in a while, right? Amazing happen.
But buddy, all you got to do is look at last year when you've got a quarterback. I mean, not a quarterback. What I'm thinking about, the defense. Gives up 19. You can't have that happen. You have how many did the defense give up 3rd downs or 4th down conversions? How many times was there a completion? You got 3rd and distance, and all of a sudden you throw the ball and into the no man's land that's between the safeties and the linebackers. Mm-hmm. We've talked about that the last couple of weeks about how often that happened last year and the year before. In fact, your safeties have to have confidence enough that they can step up and make the hit. Now, how do they do that? They also have to have confidence that if they step up, that the guy behind them is there to get it in case the guy somehow or another is able to stay on his feet. Or if the safety hits him and this guy is a guy that's 6'6" and 260-pound tight end, and you got a 200-pound safety that's hitting him and he needs help and there's no help coming. And these are the kind of things, it sounds like a little thing, but as was pointed out Monday by Billy Napier and others, it's the little things that keep adding up and they become big things. When you consistently miss tackles, when you consistently don't have help when you need it, that becomes a big thing. And Florida's had too many little things that became big things over the years. I
agree. And I think this guy will agree with that too. Our buddy Loren Meadows is on the program, joining the program today. Good evening, Loren. How you doing, Coach?
How you gentlemen doing?
Good. Franz is coming to us from North Carolina tonight.
Okay.
We're talking, we're having a conversation about the defense, which Loren wrote about today. Good piece up on the edge rushers. I'll let him talk about it. But the one thing, it seems like, Franz, and your piece focused on it today, the defense is a huge part of what success they're going to need to have there. And there's no doubt, Loren, you've seen practice too, that this is where the emphasis is going to be, because they feel like they got what they need on offense. Basically, they could have your blocking. You don't know about your blocking yet, whatever. But Billy talked about it. He loves his tight ends. He loves his wide receivers. He likes his running backs. He likes his offensive line now. So it looks like the offense is taking shape. Therefore, now we turn to the defense. And as Franz and I were saying, think about how many wins that could be on a schedule like this, Loren, if the defense could take people off the field.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we've talked about it many times. I mean, you look at the improvements just from a personnel standpoint, guys like Asa Turner, DJ Daniels. But then you just talk about, I think a lot we kind of overlooked maybe in the spring, the return of a guy like Justice Boone, who had really had a good spring last season and was looking to kind of take that next step. But also the fact that I think they had maybe, I can't remember, 13 and a half sacks. And 7 of them walked out the door with Princely. So, the emphasis, particularly today at practice, I wanted to really take a good look at the edge rushers and the D line. And, they got some guys. LJ McCray is 6'6", 264 pounds, looks the part, is put together. You got Tyreek Sapp. I mentioned Justice Boone. You got TJ Searcy. You got Cam Jackson, Caleb Banks. Joey Slackman is just, Jason Marshall just basically said he's a guy. I mean, he's just more football than anybody. He's a smelling salt kind of guy. They were getting ready to run, and he was getting the smelling salt. So, he could bring a little nasty to, to that defensive line. And that's what it's going to take. As good as I think they can be in the secondary, if they don't create havoc up front, it's going to be tough. And that unit, the interior defensive line and the edge guys have to get better. And if you look at Chapman and Peterson, particularly Chapman, I mean, he was driving that group today, just really commanding excellence from that group and aggressiveness.
Coach Chapman.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then Coach Mike Peterson, obviously we know what he's about. We've been basically, a lot of you saw him grow up from his time at Santa Fe to now, and just technically, you could just tell a guy spent 13 years in NFL. It's all about technique. It's all about hand placement. It's all about leverage and really driving that home. And I think that when they put it all together, and then you throw in Ron Roberts to kind of help oversee everything and make sure things are being done and called correctly and at the right time in the game. I mean, if they play above average defense, I think they're going to have a great football season. But, it has to be better.
Right.
Sure.
I think France is focused on a lot of the safeties, which we'll talk about. I was encouraged by all the conversation about the linebackers. They got 8 guys if they need them out there, and they're good players.
Mm-hmm.
They might be a little undersized, although the new freshman, what's this kid's name? Everybody says he's a freak. It looks like he's
Childs, Aaron Childs. Yeah, alien.
I saw him
Childs.
on video. Yeah, Alien
Childs.
France, talk about the safeties. You talk about them a lot. You're encouraged by what they got back there.
Well, one of the things I saw and I read was one of our wide receivers talking about Asa Turner hit him, and he, was something Ajax couldn't take off. I mean, he said he got hit as hard as he's ever been hit at any point in time in any football game in his life. And he said this was just practice, and he says he wasn't even bringing it as hard as he can bring it. We haven't had consistent play in the safeties as far as hitting people hard and making them wish they hadn't, since we had Ahmad Black and Mr. Wright, Major Wright back there. Mr. Wright number 2 and Ahmad Black used to deliver the hits every single play, and people did not want to catch the ball across the middle. And that has kind of slowly but surely, it's gone away. Marcus May was a guy who hit hard, but we've been missing that consistency since then. We're talking about 15 years since Ahmad and Major Wright were back there. And we can only think of 1 or 2 safeties that consistently brought the heat. You throw in Asa Turner, and then you got DJ Douglas back there, who was thought to be the hardest hitting safety in the American Athletic Conference. And people could say, well, it was the AAC. Hard hitting is hard hitting. I don't care what division you're in. Loren played Division III at Ohio Northern. Trust me, the hard hits he took there would be hard hits in any league. And you can't define hurt. You really can't. But you can define it in ways when you can define it when you see guys who are wide receivers who short arm balls because they're too busy doing this, and they got swivel heads looking for where the hit's coming from and things like that. And you don't always have to deliver the hit. Sometimes you only have to deliver one a game, and the rest of the game, it's a piece of cake.
Yeah. All right. Let me just say this program brought to you, of course, by Mountain Law, by our good friends at Mr. Medical Research. And we want to remind you, TitanMRI.com. If you need an MRI, this is a good place for you. If you're in the area of Ocala, Gainesville, especially, these folks know about the experience of having an MRI. Nobody likes to have one, but if you're going to have one, go someplace where you can get your needs attended to. And if you have a job, you can't get off, you need a nighttime or a weekend. They'll make you make you an appointment, number one. Secondly, if you don't have insurance, you need to use cash or card. They're good with that. No problem there. And when you get in to have the MRI and you get in that tight little cubicle, they don't want you to be claustrophobic. They try to attend your needs there. So if you care about those kind of things, Titan MRI is your place to go. TitanMRI.com. We haven't talked about the quarterbacks, guys, very much at all. That's probably a good thing, you know. It's hard to imagine being in a better position than you're in when you got a solid guy like Graham Mertz is getting rave reviews from Billy. This is what he's been doing ever since then, maturing in every facet. And then you got DJ Lagway, who seems to be, the throws I saw were like, you know, bullets that he was throwing out there. So to have a young guy with that kind of talent and a savvy veteran like Graham Mertz now, who's has how many starts, friends? Got a bunch of starts.
43 starts. There's only one other quarterback in all of Division I with more starts than Graham Mertz. And there's no substitute for experience. Not only that, the experience of coming back in the same offense a second year. And there's not, and the number of quarterbacks with more starts is a short list. The second shortest list is the number of quarterbacks in the same offense for the second year. And that's a very, very short list as well.
Yeah. The running backs, Montrell Johnson, can he carry the load back there? There's a few young guys too, Loren, that I like in the running game.
Well, I mean, if you look at Jabbar Jaluk's, pedigree, and he's had some good ones, guys that are Raheem Mostert and a couple other guys that are playing in the NFL. He's always kept, 2 to 3 in the rotation, and then obviously gone with the hot hand and the bell cow. Obviously, the familiarity with Montrell Johnson, definitely a guy that could carry the load. But then you talk about, Trayon Webb and Baugh kind of backing him up. Cam Carroll is now.
Oh, I love that guy.
Yeah, and Cam Carroll is now a full participant as well. So, I think Rob said it best on the other show, and a lot of people, it's funny. A lot of these so-called experts haven't brought this up, but smart guys like Franz Beard, Buddy Martin, and others, you got to be buckled in for, anywhere between 12, 13, 16, 17 games, and depth is going to be key. And I think the Gators, when you talk about the backfield, they have 4 solid backs that they can hang their hat on. And, you look at even some of the versatility with an Arliss Boardingham, a Trey Wilson that might get a few little totes in some different situations as well. I mean, they got guys, but Jabbar Jaluk is as good a running back coach as there is. Montrell Johnson is the leading rusher coming back in the SEC, a proven back that's done it against big boys his whole career, since he was a young pup at Louisiana, and just seeing his growth is just amazing. So I think, you when you wear that 1, particularly at Florida, and you wear the 1, you're a guy. And I think that not only does he have the respect of, Coach Napier and those guys, but the respect of his teammates too. I mean, when a certain somebody left the program, you didn't see a lot of down eyes, because Montrell Johnson is as complete a back as there is, and I think you'll see that with
coach for him.
Those young pups behind him can go too, and it's nice. Those young pups are a nice change of pace sometime. I mean, you got that old bell cow, and then those slick dudes come in behind them, friends. You know how it is, and it's a different tempo when them little slick dudes come by. So it'll be
and here's the thing, Loren and Buddy. Last year, when Trevor Etienne was in the ball game, you knew he was going to get the ball because he can't block. Can't block a lick. He's got about as much chance of picking up a blitzer as I do, which, considering the fact that I'm 72 and may have lost a step or two, not for sure, but may have lost a step or two over the years. Now you got a guy like Montrell, and Montrell will put people on the ground. And everything I've heard from guys is that Trayon Webb and Jaden Ball are also guys that really enjoy the contact phase of hitting a linebacker or hitting a defensive end or chipping somebody. So I guarantee you, the one guy that isn't going to miss Trevor Etienne this year is Graham Mertz, because he knows that last year when Trevor Etienne was on pass protection, he was in trouble a lot of the time. The guy missed a lot of blocks, and I'm not knocking him. He's a tremendous talent when he has his hands on the ball, but he can't block.
There's another thing that we haven't discussed a lot. I know, Loren, you didn't hear it. Franz, you heard part of the Spurrier interview. And I talked to him today about how do you find those positive vibes when you're at Duke and you're 1-3 and you're going to play at Clemson and you're a 20-point underdog. You know, you talk about a bad schedule, you know, and yet that's the game where Spurrier found these miraculous players on his roster he didn't even know he had. And they beat Clemson, and he says unequivocally, that's how I got the Florida job. If I don't beat Clemson, I'm not the Florida coach. So let's be honest. Billy hadn't got a lot of breaks, okay? I mean, nothing has really gone his way that well. A lot of it he brought on himself. But think about a season when there's certain something just start happening to you, like when Spurrier said he puts a backup running back on the field, and the guy runs for 200 yards. Where'd that come from? You know, what are some of those things, if they percolate, and then if you set your mind to it, yes, you have a tough schedule. But, you know, Spurrier had Clemson, a 22-point underdog, and was 1-3. That's a tough schedule. So the question is, doesn't fate kind of owe Billy one along the way somewhere, Loren?
You would think so. I mean, it's about that time. So, I mean, I think that, you know, there's always a little luck in it all. I mean, you gotta stay healthy. You get a break here, you get a bounce there. But yeah, I would definitely say they're due. But I think sometimes even with fate, you know, it's like it's right there on the shelf and you got to knock it over. And I think that's where, you know, it's not going to just happen organically, but there will be opportunities where the pendulum can shift, and you can say it's dumb luck. You can say it's the football gods, but you got to reach out there and snatch it. And that's going to be the key. But I would say definitely, I mean, you look in year 3, because, I mean, we really haven't seen that since an impromptu, unforeseen throw, you know, by Utah down, you know, getting ready to go in to score to win the game, or at least kick a field goal to tie the game or what have you, and they throw a little dumb pass. That's really, and that was his first game here in Florida. You really haven't seen the football guys shine on Napier like that. So, you know, maybe this is the year where we get those and we pull a couple and it's there for the taking. So, I mean, I think we'll see. But yeah, he's definitely due. Yeah, I agree with you, buddy. It's got to happen sometime.
I talked to Steve about how God smiled on them, and he talked about Danny's Werfel's beliefs and conviction that he had angels watching after him, whatever. And you know, and Steve said a certain amount of it is just sort of divine guidance. You know, it's things. And he said, and how many times did you hear him say, friends,
God smiled
on the Gators tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, exactly.
He believed in
him. Steve understood one basic thing, and that is, if you keep playing hard, you have a positive attitude, and you keep playing hard, and you're fundamentally sound, good things are going to happen to you. And here's the difference in the last 2 years and what I think will be the difference this year. The last 2 years, the team has not been fundamentally sound. Some of that can be attributed to youth. Some of it can be attributed to poor coaching. I think I don't think there's any question. Some of the coaching has been off the charts bad in the last 2 years. How can, you know, I thought that our secondary play in the last 2 years, I've watched some great secondaries at Florida for years. In the last 2 years, I'm thinking I got that great line from Butch Cassidy. Who are these guys? I mean, I'm wondering who they are. How how did these guys ever get into Division I football?
Hey, Franz, make a play for crying out loud.
Oh, yeah.
We used to watch Keywan Ratliff and some of the great DBs and different guys make a play on the ball. That's what I didn't like about that defense.
You and I were there, buddy, in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 2005. And a defensive back, I'm not going to name his name, but there's a throw that goes up there. Florida loses that game 19-17. Florida wins the game if the defensive back does this. Simply just raises his hands. He didn't do it. Urban Meyer was in tears after that game because he had a guy there who's a veteran who should have made a play. And on the other side of the ball on offense, he's got a guy like Dallas Baker, who's playing with a punctured lung, a high ankle sprain, and a bad back, and he's out there making catches and busting his butt. And it just got to him. And at some point in time, your veteran guys and coaches have to come step it up and make a difference. We have not seen that happen in the last 2 years. Princely had 7.5 sacks and 17 quarterback hurries last year. I thought he led the league in almost getting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I thought that here's a guy that should have had 15 sacks. Should have and didn't. Now, some of that, I'm not going to blame Princely for that. I think some of that has to do with scheming him up the right way. And coaches let him down. And this is the kind of thing that's happened. I think Billy finally has coaches who aren't going to let him down. And I really believe that he has improved the coaching staff top to bottom to the point that when he goes out on the field this year, he's going out there feeling he's playing with 52 cards instead of 51.
You're right there for sure. Hey guys, we got only a minute or so. Did you watch any of the Olympics? How about Katie Ledecky? I love me some her. Man, she was bringing it. She even gave a shout out to the boys she trained with down in Florida.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and had that beautiful win, 1500, and nice. And boy, Simone Biles. What can you say about a competitor who's hurt like she was hurt? You thought she might be out. Now she comes back and wins all around today. Hope it didn't spoil it for you. But, I mean, you can talk about all the things that are wrong in the Olympics, and I hear people complaining about it. Shay and I have a conversation about it all the time. I'm not watching that stuff. Listen, athletic excellence is a beautiful thing. When you have people working for 4 years to get to something, to a peak, and the moment is there, talk about pressure on these gymnasts. Oh, my gosh. Simone Biles was the last person to go. She had to come in with a big score, and she did, and she won. I love the competitive nature of the Olympics. I don't care what you say about all the things that are wrong with it. That's a wonderful thing, and it just teaches you excellence is worth going for.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll speak to it. The beautiful thing about sports, and I think we need to get back to it, and I think the three of us that are great friends would agree, sports is jubilation in its purest form. It is also agony in its purest form. And sometimes that agony is not a bad thing, but it's the fact that you bring people together every 4 years, every week, every so often, and you cheer, you do your thing, you shake hands, and you go home. And unfortunately, what's happened is it's become a thing that defines people outside of the realm of sports. And we need to keep sports, and no matter what you think about these people, their personal lives and whatever, it's none of your business. Like you said, buddy, these people have put 4 years into a lot of times this one moment, this one shot at it, and sometimes you got people depending on you and sometimes you're just out there by yourself. But if you can't appreciate the Olympics and you worried about some of the other stuff that happens before or after, and you can't focus on the actual sports themselves, then you're not a sports fan. And I'll say that. I mean, because if not, we all have put a lot of time and effort into a lot of things. And, and we want to be rewarded for that. And I think we ought to admire all these athletes in every sport and what they've done to get there. So, that's my take.
My only complaint with the Olympics is, well, I got two. One of them is I don't think the politics has a place in it.
Agreed.
Let the athletes compete and let them compete. The only other complaint I have is this. Why do we have some of these sports that are so subjective and not, you have like bicycle motocross where they're out there doing these flips and everything. It's beautiful to watch, but I'd much rather see something like, we don't have softball in the Olympics this year. Why not? It's a global sport now. We need to have it. And we got great players all over the world. New Zealand, Japan are great programs.
Yeah.
Baseball's a global sport now. I would love to see the Cubans, for example, who always bring it. Wouldn't you just love to see them on this stage with a chance? And we keep adding sports. Breakdancing is fun to watch. But trust me, I'd much rather watch a baseball game or a softball game. Expand your badminton. Have you watched badminton? What a great sport to watch. And, I lived in Asia for a while, and I'd see these kids getting out there 3 degrees below zero, and they're out there with the badminton stuff, and they're hitting that daggum thing, and they're out there for an hour before class starts doing it. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys are nuts. But they love the sport that much. Let's have the sports. Eliminate the stuff that doesn't really, like I said, breakdancing, have competitions. I don't think it has a place in the Olympics. And eliminate the politics, and I'm happy.
All right, guys, great job tonight. Appreciate it. Friends, thanks for coming on after your long trip up today. Appreciate it very, very much. And Loren, thanks for picking up the slack and posting that story today and leading the charge out there at practice. Well, nobody does it like a team like Gator Bay. When the hammer's down, it's time to react. People are ready to step up and take the mantle, which you two have done beautifully. So thank you so much, Franz.
I'm stopping at Buc-ee's on the way back tomorrow, and they only have, I think, 600 different kinds of beef jerky.
Well, bring me something from Buc-ee's.
I have never seen so many different kinds. They've got ghost pepper beef jerky, and Buddy knows as much as I like spicy. That scares me.
You better leave that alone.
You better be able to get home.
If you want to see 73, you better leave that alone.
It's not 73 anymore. It's my car.
Yeah.
It's driving.
Hey, how about a shout out to our buddy David Arnoff for all the nice things he says, including this comment. Again, greatest sports show in all in. Thank you, Dr. Arnoff. We appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you, Loren. Thank you, friends. Good night.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it. All right, fellas. All right. Well, it is the greatest sports show, and it's sure great to have people like these two guys on there. I want to wrap it up by saying thank you to all of our guests tonight. Coach Spurrier was wonderful, wasn't he? Great. What a treasure he is. Personally, to have him as a friend and have him on the show, very popular and always will be. I want to tell you that thank you to Coach Spurrier, to Franz, and to Loren, and to our sponsors, Meldon Law. Of course, you know all about how I feel about them. I've been doing this for a long time. And also TitanMRI.com, and these people who are very special. They're friends of mine. They're great members of the community in Ocala, and they have great Gator lineage. That's it. They've been sponsoring my program for 7 years. Thank you for that. And thank you to Renstar Medical Research for taking care of us in a medical manner of taking care of us, trying to find out how to treat us better, to get better medicine. And they do that through the clinical trials they've had, now well over 800 of them since they've been in business. Both Joe Sorrentino, father of Joey, the former Gator defensive back with Urban Meyer, and Mary Brantley, married to Scott Brantley, one of the all-time greats. Thank you for what you do for our community. And they want you to know the clinical trials are really the lifeblood of all places like this. And if you can find it, your time and your persuasive nature to go and have a clinical trial, you go to Renstar.net, see what you need to qualify on the next one. They have all kinds of them, and it's not painful. It's not expensive. It doesn't cost you anything. In some cases, you'll be paid for time and travel. Sign up for something. If you qualify, you will be eligible for that pay, and you'll be doing a great service to the community. So check them out. Renstar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Thank you for listening and watching. We'll be back on Monday with the same stuff. Stay tuned. Don't forget, go to GatorBait. Sign up for GatorBait. We got good stuff going there right now. GatorBaitMedia.com. And hit the subscribe button here and support this program. Appreciate that. Have a good night, folks. And we're back at you on Monday. You never know. If something comes up, we could break in and figure something out. And if it ain't breaking news, things are happening in recruiting right now, so stay tuned.